going to see those teams go into Game 3 now, which is going to be played on Miso, one of the official ladder maps. So we're going to see a mix of naval and land. It's rather similar to the temple, perhaps a little reversed in that it's the land that is the smaller metal centre and the sea that is the large surrounding area.
I'll be interested to see, again, because these two teams are what I would call technically very skilled in terms of being able. They've got high APM, and again, they've got fairly streamlined tactical minds. I'll be interested to see style.
You cut out for a second there, TheWrongCat. Sorry, what were you saying? They had you were saying about tactical minds.
Tactical minds, yes, great minds, and a fairly streamlined, sort of a methodical play style, where they will sort of dedicate themselves to one strategy at a time rather than wasting and being quite diverse in their play. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out, because as I say, they've both got very similar play styles. I think that could be quite interesting on this map, because, as you say, it's got these various terrain features, which, if you commit too heavily to one particular modus operandi, then you could find yourself on the back foot where your opponents have gone for something else.
Well, I think with Miso, it'll be interesting to see how much they commit to the land versus the naval. Early on, I expect to see a lot of movement on the land. Normally, in a 1v1, you'll see a lot of land forces first, and then a switch into naval later on. But in a 2v2, you've got more resources to play with. So I'll be interested to see if the teams commit to a heavier early naval presence over what you would normally see.
It looks like we may a little short delay before the next one, but this is going to be an interesting match. Very, very evenly matched teams. And Gandalf, of course, used to be a Realm member a while ago, but unfortunately, he's on the West Coast USA, so his time zone is probably a bit more matched to Burning team than the well, I say predominantly European. We're quite global, the Realm. We've got people everywhere, but
well, I think
he's a bit of a night owl as well.
Well, with these two teams, and you've seen them in action there in that game. Who do you favour for Miso? What do you think about their who's going to take this one?
I would have to say I'm going to go with the Alpha and Smith Force team, which is Team Jelly. I think of the two, I think they are probably slightly better suited to this map than the others.
Well, I think with the play we saw there, there's certainly a lot of opportunities on Miso for sneaky expansion. There's definitely some good opportunities for a bit of air fabric expansion out on the naval spaces. I would not be surprised to see them try and pull that off again. So we move into match 3 of the quarterfinals between the Wizards and Jelly. If those of you are just joining us, I'm Quitch, and I am joined by my co-hoster, TheWrongCat.
Good evening.
And we are moving to this third game on Miso, one of the official ladder maps by Uru Entertainment. So we will see a spawn over here. We will see a spawn down here from both teams, and both commanders will spawn together. Those are the only spawn points for them. I suspect then on 2v2 that they will commit one of the commanders into the water, and they will commit the other commander onto the land. But losing the land on Miso can be quite costly. As we saw in Evil Twins, it can be sometimes tricky with air explosions now to push yourself back into the water to get the bomber snipes like you used to in before the air explosions.
That was a particularly unfortunate game to watch, that one, on the Evil Twins. There was a real opportunity there. I think this was against Eladir, wasn't it? And he just because the air explosions completely cost him the game. He tried to go in for a quick snipe there. But what is...
We see, Jelly going to go for the sneaky expansions. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they, rather than using the air fabbers, they might do pelican drops of land fabbers. Especially with the number of mex points that exist on one of the larger islands.
You were indeed correct in your prediction. Not unsurprisingly, that you got one naval commander there, one land-based commander.
Jelly are going for the early air, not for the early naval. They're going into the air first, so it's probably the air
Aggressive expansion, yeah.
And based where the pings were, actually, it looks like they're going to try and take the islands that belong to the wizards before the wizards get there.
Well, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I would.
That's denial tactics, which is
gonna be tricky to hold them because the naval's just gonna an orca just rolls on over or a narwhal and then eliminates all the mechs because all of them are shellable from the water. So I'm not sure how practical it's going to be. Oh, we have a pause while one of the players has dropped out, so we'll just be waiting for them to reconnect.
What are the shellers would not be able to outrange most of the ships, would they? Not shellers, my apologies. Pelters rather.
I don't know the ranges. Let me pull up that information and we can find out exactly how the pelter ranges against the orca. Let's have a look.
Because I feel like that's going to be the primary method of defense if they're able to get onto that island first.
It does indeed. It has a almost 50% range advantage of the pelter. It's got a range of 260 to the range of a range of 260 to the range of 200 that we see on the orca.
And see, I'm not sure that'll be enough to defend against. They need a lot, and pelters are quite expensive as well. I don't feel like that they're actually going to be able to effectively defend that using only land-based defenses. They need to have their own naval presence there to hold it.
Yeah, they're not a practical defense against ships. I see them used against ships, but they're not a good defense against ships. They have less hit points. They cost more metal. In terms of damage, then they've got twice the damage, but at a 50% additional cost and 1/3 less hit points.
Yeah, so they really. If they were going to go for this denial, of course you need the speed that you get from the air fabricators, of course, but looks like they are actually going for their own one first. Having said all that, those air fabricators being pumped out there at quite a speed. They've rushed 2 of those out, and they're now starting on bombers.
He's actually going for a cheeky little naval factory back here. Is where he's headed. Going to try and proxy out a naval factory.
And that then lets him take advantage of this island here, which is quite a nice little cluster of metal. In fact, that really gives him good access to the entire back of the map.
I'm surprised. I'm not sure that I like that. It doesn't give them a different angle of approach, really, on the main base than they would have from their own base. No, I'm sorry, it does. It actually gives them access to the back door, so rather than expected, can they get through here? I'm not sure if that's...
That is pathable by now,
That is pathable. Okay, so yeah, they're going to try and come in around the back. I'll be interested to see how that plays out. Very sneaky.
I thought if they were going for that, they'd have built it a little bit closer, say about here-ish. I would have said
they're being very cautious. They're keeping it. Yeah,
I think that's more.
Better.
I feel like that's more of an economic expansion rather than a military one, just because of how far away it is. In terms of distance, that's further away from the main base.
Picking up some nice wins here. They picked up one fab, but they're going to pick up another one. I think just swing the bomb around. Oh, they should have got that kill, but one fabber picks up. Unfortunately, not the most favourable trade, losing the bomber as well there without taking out the fabber. Would have been a good start for them. Some more defensive play on the land from Jelly, putting up some turrets around their initial expansion points. Yeah, we see here why they didn't build the naval factory there. Already been scouted by a Firefly. Their proxy base is going to be found, though, very shortly. Well, there it is. It's been scouted. See, though, if anyone was paying attention to what that Firefly saw.
Well, they do get a notification if it does say that things have been located. So they'll actually have had a notification on the top of the page. There's a ping just gone out.
They'll be getting a lot of the... Oh, yeah, they have found it then.
They know.
Yeah. So that's not going to be achieving as much as they'd hoped.
But again, I'm still not convinced that was intended to be military expansion. I still feel like that was mainly economic. That said, we've got
yeah, the narwhal is the first one out there protecting from air, but maybe that's just a basic protection to protect.
I think that is that's mainly an anti. Oh, there go the air fabbers.
Yeah, they needed fire protection out there. Very risky because unlike say Ice Madness, the use of air fabbers is much more predictable on this map. Your opponent will be expecting to see air fabbers just because of the number of the distance between mechs, the fact that a lot of them aren't on the land. You can expect to have fighters running around trying to find these things.
On the land itself, I mean, the economy is still at this stage fairly evenly matched. No particularly exciting things happening on the land. We've got the usual, we've got some docks now starting to press down from the Wizards. A few little blobs of them, and similarly a few blobs from Team Jelly scattered around the place. Fairly standard early expansion play. Looks like we have a little bit of a minor confrontation here. Neither team really that keen to lose docks this early on. So they're just going to sort of dance around each other for a bit. Although it actually looks like Jelly are going to end up probably the least favourable of these two.
Absolutely, just poking at each other here. Both sides looking rather evenly matched. They're seeing relatively even in terms of fabbers, units, factories, taking their half of the map. I think Wizards perhaps looking in a slightly better position, just in that they're really locking down their portion of the land. And more exposed air fabbers on the land there from Jelly. Some very risky air fabber places, especially so close to where the Wizards can see them. Just fly a couple of fighters over there and take all those resources out.
Meanwhile, on the far side, the naval fabricators are starting to have a little jog around and pick up some spare metal extractors, hoping to add that to the war effort so that they can actually bring their economy up to speed. And actually, you can see Team Jelly starting to pull ahead a little bit in economy here.
Yeah, if they can keep that naval fabber going around, and in fact they've got two now, if they get those naval fabbers going, that can pick up a lot of nice wins. I'd like to see some bombers out there from the Wizards, try and pick those off. They're looking exposed, but we now see that they're getting narwhal defenders placed by each one. Very aware of the fact that a bomber can take those out. Bombing naval fabbers is a little trickier than bombing a land fabber. It does seem to, you have to get your bombs just right if you want to take it out on the first pass. But that could be a long-term advantage for them.
Really good raiding though from the Wizards. There's lots of fighters going there to deny any air fabricators the chance to expand around the back of this map.
I think though that Jelly very alive to that, which is why they've gone down the naval fabber route now. Got the air fabber out there, got that naval factory down first before we grabbed any mechs. So even if they did lose the air fabbers, which they did, that they still had that expansion presence out there long before anything from the Wizards got out there. We see the Wizards naval fabber starting to creep out in that direction, but it's an area that's looking rather controlled now by Jelly. They're going to have to bring some substantial naval forces over there. I'd like to see a radar go down actually from Jelly so they can better protect against the ship creep they're going to see over there.
But you can actually see in terms of ship creep, and Narwhal is already sort of meandering over there trying to take out a few metal extractors as he goes, although he's about to be met by some Narwhals of Jelly's own to try and take him out. He's managed to get 2 metal extractors there, so nice easy bit there. But look at the economy now of the 2 players. Jelly really taking a decisive advantage in economy, but we now see some aggressive commander play from the Wizards. Very characteristic of Gandalf's play style. He is very aggressive with his commander as a rule. I suspect strongly that is him on the front lines.
Well, both teams have now started to transition into tanks on the land, which is relatively normal for this stage. And both commanders actually from the Wizards being aggressive. The other one moving forward in the water. So we actually but they do not have enough ships out there. They need to get some more over there quickly. Jelly have got a much better naval presence at the moment between the 2 bases, with the Wizards sending a bunch of their ships over to try and deal with this proxy base.
This eco advantage is really starting to become rather problematic for the Wizards. They are just not making the best use of. They really ought to be sending some fabricators of their own. All of these unclaimed metal extractor points here, they're not even being contested by Jelly. There's no excuse for not having sent an air fabricator around to pick those up already. They should have those.
Well, the commander's looking very exposed right now, with the naval battle there not going well for the Wizards at all. And indeed, the Wizards land commander also started looking a little exposed. His army gets pushed back, and Jelly indeed push up their own commander in response. But slowly starting to take just a slight land advantage. No, they've actually lost some to raids from the docks around the side. He's starting to look a little exposed out there. It's getting surrounded by Jelly's forces, and in the water as well, also looking exposed with ships from Jelly closing down, shutting those walls, trying to get a defensive line now to block that off. They know they're behind.
Torpedoes are flying now. The torpedoes are flying, and as we saw earlier, torpedoes can be very finicky. And in fact, I think they've now got a direct line from those ships onto the commander. They're just skimming another wall before they get some torpedo launchers going up now to try and defend against those ships, which was desperately needed.
I haven't seen a change from Jelly yet. I'd like to see some more subs out in that direction. I think once you see a commander in the water, a sub-heavy presence can be very useful. They're devastating to the commander and torpedo launchers, but Going narwhals at the moment, which is not a bad choice. Subs perhaps slightly more cost effective though for really dislodging him. But still, they're looking very firmly in control of the water now and really surrounding that commander. Their proxy base is looking safe. That has not been shut down. They've lost the expanding fabbers, and indeed the Wizards have now taken an economic lead. But again, let's see how we're looking in terms of mobile units.
Actually,
Jelly.
They've caught back up.
Yep,
they really have.
Those naval forces will shut down the expansion of Jelly. But if Wizards are going to have to hold this line against this naval force from Jelly here, otherwise they're really going to be in trouble, because then they'll collapse back on the base and lose all the water resources. But they're setting up a defensive line, looking solid so far.
That commander though is right in the front line. That naval force needs to be going forward, not backward really. They could have forced their way through that, but they decided to take a much more defensive approach. There's some reinforcements coming up at the back here, but they're not actually making much headway. Really, that commander there could be wiped out in the next 2 minutes if they really push through with those forces.
Jelly have got a propulsion now on the land to try and dislodge that commander from behind his walls, and indeed have range on the walls. I'm not sure if they've got range of the commander, but he's withdrawing now. I'd like to see Jelly using the opportunity to flank with their force, but they're not going to. They're pulling back. Starting to see defensive lines get put up on here, something that's not uncommon on Miso. A lot of walls going up on the land, and then a lot of battles going out on the sea. But that aggressive commander play has not paid off. He is going back.
We're now seeing the naval force from Jelly start to push through. They've allowed the Wizards to start building up torpedo launchers, which has meant that this is going to be a lot less decisive than it otherwise could have been.
Unfortunately, coming in a number of orcas there, but I think they've got the forces to at least keep them from expanding that wall line. That's what they're really going for here.
The second force needs to be able to push in here, or it's going to be going around and try and cut off the commander's escape and try and sandwich him in the middle.
Yeah, they just need to really cut this off. I mean, they can go around this defensive structure. There's no need to tackle it head on. There's not a lot of resources there. Bypass it, take out the production at the back, and indeed that's what they're now doing. They're leaving it there. A lot of resources getting invested in a defensive line that they can just go around. And they are starting as well to make a push again for their little expansion out to sea. They've got their own narwhals out there now to try and take out these expansion points that the Wizards have taken on.
The Wizards are doing a much better job of expanding now than they were earlier. They said that those positions that I said that there was no excuse for not having have now been built on. Although we're now seeing some bombers starting to come around and think about undoing all of that hard work. That's a fairly hefty air force there. And we're now seeing some raiding coming through on the land as well from Team Jelly. I'm not seeing a huge amount to counter this. This could go right for the energy fields if that's not countered quickly. That could be really quite painful. They're only floating by 5k energy at the moment, which is not a huge amount in the grand scheme of things.
Well, Jelly are really starting to look very convincing on the ground now. They're pushing. They've taken back control of their mech fields. They've got a rather nice force coming around the back now of Jelly's of the Wizards' base. And also pushing against the Wizards' defensive line with their air now taking convincing control. It's starting to look pretty dire for the Wizards. They're getting surrounded. Their eco lead is going down. So the Jellies making their naval advantage pay now, taking back the mechs that they lost earlier.
And now they've put themselves right back in the lead economically. They've taken out lots of metal extractors, and really the Wizards don't have a huge amount left to answer. So the mobile unit count on the land is not exceptional. That's army now trying to get around here and do some damage to the commander, which they might be able to do if they focus on him, but they're not. They're pulling back.
I don't think. Yeah, they don't have the resources to take him. He's going to build up walls, and that's going to be a trick. I think they're making the right moves here.
Yes.
Just keep Wizards busy, keep raiding them, keep knocking down their resources. They're sneaking under the pelter up now again, so they're going to just push these defensive lines back. No need to lose too many troops doing it.
There's still conversations happening out at sea. Commander is still just sat here building walls and walls and walls and walls, being careful not to get hit by the torpedoes wisely. He's actually going to be able to defend against his naval force quite happily. Yeah,
it looks like Jelly are being a little passive with their naval forces. They've got a little base back here, fair number of ships, but haven't deployed them yet. We need to get them out there and get them being active. Otherwise, they're letting the Wizards slowly take back the naval game with this little wall set up and torpedo launches they've got going on. Again, I would like to see them switch off for narwhals to perhaps putting some subs out there.
But now, if we look up in the economic tab at the top, now we have nearly a double economy for Jelly as composed as compared rather to the Wizards. So the Wizards really need to get the Wizards now have got queued up some metal extractors to replace the ones that were destroyed in that raid, and they'll start to catch back up when those are built. But this is a big eco advantage, and I feel like this could be quite a decisive period in the game, whilst Jelly is able to sit here and just build off of this advantage that they have. We now see an advanced air factory being produced by Jelly.
Yeah, they're going to try and make full use of this economy advantage they've got then. Then we're going to see air fabbers come out of that. Ultra defensive, putting up a deep space radar. They don't want to get caught out, I guess. But
well, I think that's I think considering what we've seen in previous games, it's not actually a deep space radar is not too expensive, and it's a decent investment to have to make sure you don't get caught by surprise by something really quite nasty.
Well, I think this just shows that they're not aware of the capabilities of the advanced radar. They could just slap up advanced radar, get a lot of useful ground intel, and that would still warn them about orbital threats for a significant radius. I think it's something like 600 radius for a planet of this size. That's quite a lot of planet. I don't think they need to go down the deep space radar route. But it's cheap, so
it's cheap. It's not really a huge loss to have one of those up.
They're letting Wizards get a few outposts out in the water now. Just need to hunt those down a little better. Perhaps get the air scouting more aggressively out there at sea. They're starting to clump it up a bit now as it does big pushes, but not really doing anything. They need to break some of those off. Maybe get some fireflies out there. Just find what the Wizards are doing out at sea, shut it down quicker than they are doing. And there we go. We start seeing some nulls pushing in on this little expansion that the Wizards are trying to set up.
The radar's still there, but they'll just sort of sail on by. Actually, that's going to be mopped up by the Air Force that's just about to fly over. Or not. Where's that going then? That's going to go and support some troops in the land, where we see that again, Jelly coming around on this coast, trying to put the pressure on.
Now we see the commander getting pelted here. It's a number of pelters going up now on Jelly's defensive line, driving that commander back. And this is a pattern we've been seeing repeated across these defensive lines. Wizards are throwing up turrets, and then Jelly just roll on forward, put pelters up. There's not enough ground forces to stop them doing it, and they push Wizards back from another defensive line. And we see that the Wizards are just slowly, inch by inch, losing this land, and they really need to hold it because they have already lost the naval battle.
I wouldn't say that they've lost it necessarily. Actually, no, I take that back. Yes, they have definitely lost the naval battle. I've just had a quick look around the rest of the map and seen all the little purple, pink clumps scattered around the place. Yeah, they have got some catching up to do. That said, they have enough torpedo launchers that they're going to make advancing difficult for Team Jelly, but it's certainly not impossible. Stretch.
Yeah,
and they're playing very defensively.
They're putting a very defensive line there, but there's no defences on the other side, and we see some narwhals from Jelly coming around there. And indeed, I think Jelly is best off ignoring this defensive line and not bothering with it at all. And they really should switch to subs though with that commander out there. Just maximise the damage that they're doing. You
say they should ignore it, but at the same time, there's that tempting bait with the commander sat there in the middle. That's what they want. They don't want to kill the defensive line. They want that commander.
The problem is going with the wrong force to do it. With torpedo launchers behind walls, you need to maximise your torpedo damage. You should be coming in with subs, not coming in with this orca narwhal force. It feels like they're using the wrong troops for the job.
I'm expecting soon to see some Hornets come through and try and do it that way.
Now they're maximising their economy from that factory. They're going to be pumping out the tier 2 fabbers. They're going to be building up energy. They're going to be building up metal, and they're just going to massively boom their production. I mean, they're already 8 factories ahead, 120 troops ahead. They're going to be all over Wizards soon. Wizards are going to have to pull something out of the bag if they want to bring this back, because they're looking in real trouble right now.
That commander's leaving the defensive line and heading straight towards all of those torpedoes. I'm not sure that's the wisest move I've ever seen.
I think he's realised that he's flanked and he's trying to get out of there. But yeah,
I think
Jelly don't seem to be on the ball on this one though, because they really should commit this force to taking out the command. They've got a fair old number of narwhals. They might not take him out, but they do a lot of damage. But I guess they've just decided they're going to crush this naval base instead. They don't need to finish the commander yet. They can do it
actually,
later.
To be fair, if they can get rid of that energy as well, look at what's happened to the economy there. if they can take out that energy, that's going to absolutely crucify the Wizards. Not just that one, they've got another force coming through from the north as well. More energy, all forfeit. This is going to be the game.
We're going to see the Wizards. I think they're gathering up their forces to make a big push in the land. I reckon this is going to be it. They're going to make for an all-in here. They have to push that land force. They have to try and push Jelly back. They have to find a section of this map that they can own themselves, because they've lost the naval battle now. They're going to lose the shore very soon after. They have to push with this force. If they can't take it, then it's going to be the GGs.
This is all or nothing. This is their Hail Mary.
Yeah, they don't look dead. You see, Jelly, they know they're doing it. They're gathering up their own forces. I don't think they've... oh, they've committed the docks without the tanks, though. Are they scouting? I'm not sure what they're doing. What if they... Those are getting picked off, and now the tanks come in, but Jelly have already assembled their force, and that commander is not going to... another defensive line goes up, but with Pelters just on the other side, I don't see what the point is.
I think that commander is going to have fun.
Yeah, we see the Pelter bar coming in now, and this army, if it sits there, is dead. They have to advance, and they have to push. And they can't just hold that defensive line. They have not got the economy to do it. They're going to get Pelter. They're going to get a Pelter creep against them. The shore is now getting bombarded by Jelly, closing on every side with naval.
More eco just being absolutely just. Oh, that's awful. Really, I mean, their energy's recovered, but they're now losing metal as well. Well, these metal extractors on the shoreline being bombarded from... Okay, they've pulled the ships away now, so they're actually not bombarding them anymore. It's interesting. That last commander now stuck there, hold up. He's just building walls and torpedo launchers around himself. Desperate plea for survival.
Yes, I don't think that's good. Well, Jelly aren't really committing much to winning this. So we see that, Alpha begging them to just, I think, surrender. But we see a Pelter going up now, not quite built in range. Not enough.
That commander and his army are definitely... I don't know why the commander's really there.
I don't think he hasn't really got any options. If he tries to leave, the land isn't looking very safe for him either. He's just trying to interfere, I think. But at this point, they're building mines. It's a mystery. They should push, really. Jelly need to push
should be
that
going
land
straight
army.
in.
Yeah, they need to push, and they can just crush this base from both sides, and then it's all over. I mean, look at that economy. It's absolute madness. That's going to get turned into a nuke or a Hulkins if that commander insists on sitting in the water. Maybe an advanced torpedo launcher, because those things are absolutely devastating. They're like little machine guns in the water.
That's fantastic. Machine gun torpedoes.
They really are. If you see them in action, they are beautiful things.
Maybe we can pray for one to appear in this game, so we can sort of sit there and gasp in awe.
I don't think we're going to see one this game, unfortunately, but yeah, maybe in one of the later games. We do still have there is some more naval in the future events.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Wow.
We're now seeing a Pelter go up from the Wizards, trying to hit the Jelly Commander, who is currently sat there not reacting to it. He's down 10% health already.
It's not going to be around for long, though. It's Jelly pushing in. That commander's not going to be able to hold that line against that force. He's going to get driven off, I think. As long as they target the commander now, he's going to have to withdraw. But are they going to... Taking out the...
They're not. They're going past him. And meanwhile, the Jelly Commander's down to 80%. But I'm not sure that's going to be...
It's not going to work. Jelly got too many troops, but I think they could have been a little more aggressive with that force than just skirting around the edge nonsense they've got going on. But this commander from the Wizards is looking in real trouble now. He's pinned in.
But they're not even attacking. He was just caught in the crossfire. They weren't even going for him.
No, they're trying to come in around the walls, but I think this is unnecessary. They can just push in, and they're lining up the bombers for a snipe as well.
Snipe Dom first, please.
Gandalf begging for mercy. Begging for mercy. I think he's fleeing the scene. Will Jelly be merciful? I think the answer is no.
As if. What a silly question.
Down goes Gandalf. Poor Gandalf. And it's now just a matter of time before that commander dies. That really spells the end of the land presence for... Oh, Dom died first. Someone died! That spells the end of the land presence for the Wizards. And I'm afraid, unfortunately, I think their chances of getting to the semi-finals, I think we're going to see Jelly advance now. They've got such a huge economic advantage. They've got a nuke going up now.
I think that commander's just going to get that. In fact, he's down at a low enough health percentage that nuke should one hit him.
Yeah, that nuke.
That's what's gonna happen. If he refuses to GG before then, that is.
Well, they're just building up the nuke. I don't think I'm not even sure they're going to move in on him. I think that it's going to rush the nuke and then launch it in to finish the game. His health is 89%. I think that's low enough that a nuke will just take him straight out.
That's assuming that nothing else kills him in the meantime.
And naturally, the Wizards are writing GG in walls because what else do you do? Why GG? Why a GG when you can write it in walls instead?
That's okay.
Yeah, this is over. I personally would like to see the GG this because they know it's over. When you're writing in walls, you know you've lost. So why drag it out for you? Yeah, why drag it out for your opponents? But if this is what they want to do, then I think we're going to get to see a nuke launched while Jelly does mop up the resistance here on the land.
I can't believe you didn't actually just say the phrase when the writing's on the wall like that. I can't believe you didn't just come out and do that.
No, we're not. I'm not a man of the puns. I leave that to the lesser folk. The lesser folk.
No, you leave it to the experts.
The visionaries.
The visionaries.
So I think while this is going on, then let's have a think about why did the Wizards lose this? I mean, was it that proxy naval factory? Do you think that's what won it for Jelly?
I think it was. I think that from the offset, the Wizards were playing a game of catch up. They were trying to catch up with the expansion that because they hadn't got anything naval over there by themselves. Any bombers that went over there were immediately caught out by the narwhals, which Jelly had cleverly built to start with. So they had nothing to pry them off of that side of the planet with except planes, which were being shot down. So really, that eco advantage just made Jelly an unstoppable force, both at sea and on the land.
Yeah, I think. Well, the Wizards got out there to try and put a stop to it, but they didn't have. I think they needed to get some bombers out there to really shut down the expansion. By the time they got out there with ships, they were so slow. It was just a bit too late. Jelly did fall behind economically for a short while, but at that point they already had enough of an advantage, I think. Especially with that factory out there, meant they could always commit troops faster. And there goes the nuke. Come on, there is 2% left. And now we're going to see the last of the troops come in.
It's a Hulkin snipe. It's a Hulkin snipe.
No, those walls are not going to get built. Here we go.
They're reclaiming him to death.
And there we go. A reclaim win for Jelly. So congratulations to Jelly, who make it through to the semi-finals.
A way to win the game.
So yes, congratulations to Team Jelly, move through to the finals, and commiserations to the Wizards. Put up a bold fight, but just took game one in the quarters, but wasn't enough. Just overwhelmed by Jelly's play in the last two games there. Yes, I think it just came down to that naval expansion, is what it seems.
That was really, really strong play, and I would not be surprised if.
I think Jelly are very much showing themselves to be competitors in this tournament. I think they have a good chance of taking it and going all the way there. They could definitely be contenders to win this.
So we're now through up to the semi-finals, and they're now being pitted against the PA gods in the semi-finals.
It's definitely going to be some difficult opponents for them. So that is the PA gods, favourites to win this. Definitely a very hard match for them, I think.